This is the show. Cafe Anyway. Welcome to Cafe Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It is FFF episode 3139, Mike Matthews here at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The last place on earth in the land of Meritopica. And I am videoing this show. And you can see, it's a thing to see. But if you don't want to, that's fine. This is meant to listen to when you got the time. Mike's Daily Podcast, FF episode 3139.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
3139. Now, as I am recording this, the podcast picture
Mike's
that you see
Daily
when you go to Mike's Daily Podcast.com is of the horse known as Dice. And it was the podcast. I get around to posting the podcast maybe about a week later, just because I'm doing this all by myself, everybody. And the podcast picture is of Dice, the horse. And I took this picture, I think, a couple months ago. It was the FF episode 3134, called Eli. Well, Eli's coming, hide your heart, girl. Wasn't that the song by The Guess Who or Three Dog Night? I forget which one. Or was it one is the loneliest number. That's The Guess Who. And there's another band that kind of reminds me of the three of them, of the other two. What I'm trying to say is, when they talk about Eli's coming, it's an old saying that derives from when something dark, an harbinger of something bad is happening, harbingers and that kind of thing, foreboding. You know that something is up ahead that's not good. Well, sadly, something was not good that was up for Dice, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I don't think Dice is around anymore, sadly.
And here's today's podcast picture.
It's not of Dice, but you can see a picture of Dice if you go to FFF episode 3134 at mikesdailypodcast.com. I also had him up on my Instagram, and you can see him there. It's a great picture because he's right up at the camera. And I'm glad I was able to give him a couple carrots this day that I saw him a few months back, because he's just, I don't know what happened. I haven't been able to get in touch with the owner yet. And just to be clear, Dice and two other horses hang out in this area at the top of Columbia in Podcaster Valley. In fact, the late great Basil the Boxer and I used to walk with the horses up there. Well, we'd walk past the horses. And I remember one time, Dice, the horse, the one that I think is no longer with us, actually chased after Basil. So he was a bit of a nemesis to Basil. But I had been told by, I think Rick is the owner. Rick had told me that, Dice is pretty old, but Dice had an injury decades ago. Dice used to be a racing horse. That's the name Dice, like gambling, dice, that kind of thing, which you shouldn't do, in my opinion. It's just but Mike, I win so much money. Yeah, okay. Just you go ahead and be that competitive and lose all your money. That's fine. You're also into crypto? That makes sense. Okay. But ain't life grand, and we should cherish life because it is oh so fleeting. Because I don't think Dice is with... Rick had told me that Dice's back leg had been bad. It has something to do with the hips, and the horse was just not... Well, he was worried because the horse walks around. They have a great life, all these horses. They walk around on this big field area that's partly owned by the East Bay Regional Park District. And they get to walk freely, and they're fed every day, and they have a beautiful view of the bay. I've posted podcast pictures of that. In fact, why don't that be the podcast picture, the one I took a little earlier this evening, of the beautiful skyline of the bay from this park that's at the top of Columbia, this area called Columbia in Podcaster Valley. So I'm only thinking, I'm guessing that Dice is no longer with us because there are usually 3 horses and now there's just 2. There's Emma and Maybell. So I'm thinking the worst. But and Rick had told me Dice was having some issues, and he had a horse that had some injuries and was once attacked by some kind of mountain lion or something. So when the horses get in any way injured, he's got to be really careful. So I don't know. It's just a sad day.
News random.
But random, I bring you this news, and it's just interesting because as of this moment, that is the podcast picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. It was almost like the timing of me finding out all this stuff lined up perfectly. But horses are cool. I used to be afraid of them, but now I go over and like I talked to Emma and Maybell, the remaining horses, and said, okay, you two, I'm sorry for your loss. Now you two be good to each other, because apparently Maybell had been bad to Emma a couple times. So hopefully they get along. And this is the only podcast that you will hear on the planet Earth that talks about cool horses that hang out in Podcastro Valley. How about the hot toys of the year? Yes, we're already looking ahead to Christmas. It's called a Labudu doll. A pointy-eared, mischievous figure with a toothy grin that became a collector's obsession and has been seen dangling from celebrities' handbags. The creator of this doll,
scavenger hunt,
I have found in my scavenger hunt, is Pop Mart. And wasn't that the name of a album from U2 that wasn't that good? It had that song Lemon and Numb. I feel numb. And Staring at the Sun. Oh, that was just called Pop, right? I think it was just called Pop. If I'm mistaken, I might be thinking of the Zoo TV album. Not Achtung, baby, but... So, Pop Mart expects a 350% profit spike because there's a fan frenzy. And you know what that does to sales? It lifts them. Netflix is adding NASA's live rocket launch coverage and other space-related content to its streaming platform as we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley.
For your entertainment.
What?
The one.
Who?
The only.
What?
Mike Matthews.
Hi, it's Mike. Okay, yeah. What it is, I don't understand the excitement about this because you can already watch all this YouTube stuff that's got, all this NASA stuff on YouTube, but however, this new channel on Netflix will allow users to watch live rocket launches, astronaut spacewalks, mission briefings, and views from the International Space Station. I'm presuming with less ads than you get on YouTube. Maybe not. But speaking of space, does Kuiper internet satellites that Amazon has, they actually used SpaceX, their rival, Jeff Bezos' arch nemesis, Elon Musk. Rich guy versus rich guy. He actually used the rival, SpaceX.
Yo, the mic tip.
This is my tip to you. SpaceX's Starlink. Okay, so SpaceX, Amazon used SpaceX to launch their own internet satellites that are competing directly with SpaceX's Starlink, which they have 8,000 satellites and about 5 million customers worldwide, whereas Amazon has only 78. 8,000 versus 78. So yeah, Amazon's a bit behind, but they're aiming to have at least 3,000 up in the air, up in the sky, up in the orbit, I should say, up in space. Satellite internet will be a $40 billion business in about 5 years, says Rob Black. I produce his podcast. He's heard on AM 1220 KDOW weekday afternoons at 5, and he's on Cron TV Monday through Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour. Fascinating.
Wow, shuts, wow.
Wow, it makes myself go, wow, shuts, wow, and that's what my mom used to say when I would surprise her with something, because she called me shuts. Shuts. Like, shuts up. Shut up, Mike. So it just got crammed into shut. No, it's a German word, because Germans have funny words. But that's true. Mom was German. She taught me some German words. not just the cussing words. 80-year-old Larry Ellison surpassed Mark Zuckerberg to become the world's second richest person with a net worth of $251 billion. And he's 80. Larry Ellison is now the second richest person on the planet at the age of 80. Take that, Mark Zuckerberg, you snot-nosed little kid. I have noticed, and now I'm going to be 57. I'm going to be 57 in a couple months. And I have noticed that because of all of
The nosebleed section.
the nosebleed section is what I'm noticing. Just this empowerment that Gen Zers and millennials have because of TikTok, because of, let's say they get popular on TikTok, maybe they get popular on Instagram, maybe they get popular on Facebook, even though that's for old people like me, and X, or maybe, I don't know, they do Blue Sky. Maybe they're on Truth Social. I don't know anybody on Truth Social except for Trump. So my point is, they get this feeling of of a self-perception with an enormous ego, with the self-confidence that they will say things that are utterly disrespectful, and they go, oh, well, I'm young, it doesn't matter.
The Myclopedia Insanika.
Let me explain to you from my Myclopedia Insanika. There was a talk show host who was slightly younger than me, who was rather popular across the country, right-wing guy, who then Trump is now using in one of his departments. He hired him for something to do with the government, so he's off the air, which I'm kind of thankful for, because one of the stupid segments he would do every Friday is he would talk to this millennial who was a movie critic, and they would review older 80s or 70s movies, maybe even 60s movies that were classics, that were, to my generation, oh wow, that was everybody went to go see it, everybody talked about it, everybody used famous quotes from that movie. Well, this punk-nosed kid, this snot-nosed Mark Zuckerberg-like kid, comes along and reviews these movies and totally slams them.
Matthew's News.
My news to you. And would just put them down. And then he'd put down the host. I don't even know why the host, who's slightly younger than me, kept him on the show. I don't. He's probably, this kid probably has a couple million subscribers for whatever reason. Maybe he's good looking. And I'm finding that most of the people that have 1 million or more subscribers, a bunch of subscribers, it's not because they have great content, not because of some kind of amazing foresight, insight, wisdom that they have. They don't have any wisdom at all. They're good looking. And maybe they say something that connects with a huge chunk of the people that are their age. Doesn't connect with anybody my age, unless they're bashing Trump, and there's, old people like me that don't like Trump. Or there's old people like me that love Trump. Maybe they're saying stuff that they love Trump. Whatever the thing is, whatever echo chamber you belong to, maybe it doesn't matter.
This nightmare of a show.
Maybe you love their nightmare of a schno, and that you like the snot-nosed kids, and you want to listen to them because they're bashing or they're promoting whoever it is.
This guy is so tremendously brilliant. He's my number 2.
We did it, and I promised to help Trump coordinate all the disinformation we'll be putting out on X.
I'm hearing it on the radio now at such an extent. So I started in radio, and I remember every program director telling me throughout my late teen years and my 20s and my early 30s, never call attention to your age. Never put down anybody older than you. Show respect. Never put down anybody younger than you, although it was kind of funny to put the young little kids like, I want to hear the new song from Tim McGraw. I want to hear the new song from New Kids on the Block. Or something to that. Okay. you'd maybe have a little fun with them, but you never put them down. You never
First
put.
of all, I just want to thank everyone for joining us here on this show. This is great.
Yes, and thank you for joining me on this show. But have you noticed that? If you are listening to this show, have you noticed that from other radio people? Like that guy that was reviewing movies and saying, oh my gosh, this movie from the 80s is crap. Now, I know I've rewatched some stuff from the 80s, from the 90s, from the 70s. Some stuff dates, right, okay. But he just deliberately put down. And the excuses he gave for why he didn't like a movie were ridiculous. So that goes also for a lot of YouTubers that are young. They got 1 million subscribers, so now they can say whatever they want. And they say the dumbest things. I got no subscribers. Okay, maybe 2, maybe 3. I've been doing this for well over a decade. I got 3,139 episodes as of this show. And I'm going to be respectful, my buddy, to anybody
Wine.
who listens. This is my
whiny white man wineless.
And yes, I am whining about this particular topic. And I'm also going to whine about other things that get in my brain that I'm like, why? Why is that a thing? And when I hear it back, I go, okay, I'm old. I'm like, get off my lawn, you crazy kids. I sound like that. Okay. But still, people need to stop and listen to themselves, because here's what's going to happen. At some point, TikTok will go the way of MySpace. We have seen it happen before. Those of us who lived through the early O's and made it to this point, we know social media come and go. Facebook is not quite the popular thing it was back in 2009, 2010, 2011, the early 10s. It's not as popular. Now, X, there's maybe some people think it's gotten more popular since Elon took it over because he called a lot of attention to it. Knocked down. Oh, Rocky the Cat. He's Generation A. He's an alpha kid. Alpha Cat was born just what? How old are you now? 2022 was when he was born. That's right. Wow. So it's nice when he stops by. Look who else is stopping by. Hi, Mark. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How you doing? I brought my horse.
And to Disgruntled Fiddle Player tell you what.
What?
Basically, you're saying that people just need to show respect to their elders. Is that what y'all saying?
Well, yeah. I know, and it's kind of a cliche. Hey, you want to come up here?
Who, you talking to me?
No, the cat. The cat wants to get on my lap outside of Café Anyway.
Okay, this is odd. What?
Is this some kind of song? Yeah. What's the cliche of the week? The cliche is old people.
What's the cliche
of the week? Saying that young people
What's the cliche of the week?
are disrespectful. That's the cliche. What's the cliche of the week?
Well, it's true because they are. And also, have you listened to the music that comes out of these young people? I mean, it sounded like it was all AI generated. There's no heart or soul in any of it.
Okay, well, see, that's your opinion. It's a cliche. And it might quite possibly be true. What's the cliche? But hey, this is the culture we've been living in. For a while, it's been developing. I can probably guess that a lot of the music that was coming out even 10 years ago may have had some early AI involved. You know that in those studios where they're making the music, they got access to all kinds of crazy music technology. So look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer hash right now.
And if you look at the video, and you won't because I'm not young and beautiful, but if you do, you'll see Rocky the cat is on my lap having too much fun. Just sitting there. All right.
Drink right now, I'll cut you.
All right. So here, That's really good. And I usually ask you what's in that root beer, but I'm done asking you that question because you've pretty much told me every possible ingredient on the planet at this point. So there's really nothing else you can add to it. Maybe I should ask you another question. How are things going in the root beer making vat in the basement of Café Anyway factory?
Yeah, okay, downstairs where I make the root beer in the giant root beer vat, and I use a bunch of crazy technology, and I make the root beer with that, Mike.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and what I do is I make the root beer and people drink it, and they like it, and they'll drink it all the time, and then they'll bring it with them to all kinds of fun events.
Uh-huh. You make the root beer for them and they take it to fun events? Like what?
Maybe they go to outside lanes.
You know, I don't understand that whole fascination with going to see concerts with artists and sitting in the hot sun and paying all that money for the tickets, and then you're out there and the smell of pot is assaulting your nose. Do you know what I'm talking about, Brewmaster?
I make the root beer. It's delicious. Everybody needs to drink it. I get a little lonely downstairs where I make the root beer, Mike Matthews, with all the vats.
You have more than one vat now?
I have a couple of vats. I have some vats and I have some bats.
Oh, some bats live down there?
Yeah. Bats live. I find when bats live near the root beer, it makes it taste better. Oh, boy.
Okay, I hope the word guano is not in any way needed in this description of what you're talking about downstairs, but okay, bats and vats. Hopefully there's no rats. Do you have any cats?
Yeah, I have some cats. Well, there's your cat. What's his name?
Rocky. Rocky the cat. And he's burrowing into my arm. Isn't that fascinating that bat guano was... it was like people made a lot of money selling it. They'd find it and they'd sell it. It's like the super duper huge.
Oh my gosh!
The bottom of the chart.
Pretty good songs that never made it on the radio because people didn't think they were worth. But you know what? They come back up and people start playing them, and it's like, oh, where'd that come from?
Fertilizer. It's like the best fertilizer on the planet. This stuff, guano. We're just hanging out outside a cafe anyway. Okay, Rocky the cat's leaving. So we're at the bottom of the charts. What are we going to talk about? What song at the bottom of the charts? I had an interesting conversation with the guy who's putting on the radio station called Cam Radio, which you can listen to at camradio.org. Now he's got it on MyTuner, the MyTuner app, which you can listen to this podcast on the MyTuner app. We were discussing driving songs that didn't really top the charts, but were down there at the bottom of the charts. There were some good driving songs. They had a driving beat. And I thought of 3 from the 80s that I told him. And he says, oh, yeah, we played that song. Every song I mentioned, he said, oh, yeah, we played that song. One of them was a song by Michael McDonald that was written by Kenny Loggins. As you know, those two get along really well. They did that song, Heart to Heart, with each other. And I think this is it. And they are buds, they're friends, and Kenny wrote this song called No Looking Back. And he did a version of it, Kenny did, on his album called Vox Humana. It was okay. But when Michael McDonald got a hold of it and did this, I think it's called, the album's called No Looking Back or Home or something like that. I actually went out and bought the album. I loved the song so much. And there was a mellow song, because he was known for his mellow songs like Keep Forgetting We're Not in Love Anymore. But this one, this No Looking Back, had a driving theme. It was a driving song. And the video's kind of goofy. It shows him playing a keyboard, and it looks like an empty house, but it cuts between him and people running really fast, but in slow motion. and maybe falling down, but they're running. Yeah, isn't that also a video to a song by Radiohead did Creep. That's right. And then there was another driving song from the 80s, the same time period. Oingo Boingo, Not My Slave. Love that one too. They both have this driving beat. And I forget what the third song was. But those songs were not on the top of the charts. They were at the bottom-ish. Oingo Boingo, of course, had Danny Elfman, who would later become this massive composer and do all of the stuff. Probably got some movie out now that he did the music to. But The Simpsons, he did the Batman movies with the Tim Burton directing them, and many others. Bottom of the charts. Wow, what a great way to end the show with that fantastic knowledge that I have thrown upon you. Why am I shouting? Not sure. What was the other song? Okay, I found the email finally. Not My Slave. Michael McDonald. Oh, there wasn't another one. Okay, I feel kind of dumb right now. You know, if we go into the 90s, Dwight Yoakam's version... Oh, no, I think this was the 80s, too. Dwight Yoakam did a version of Suspicious Minds, the Elvis song. That was off the charts. I don't think it made it to the... It may have been on the country charts, but it was also at the bottom of the charts. My point is, this is the end of the show. But what do you think about all that? Here's the number to call.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640. Will you shut ups? Liberty Nation Freedom Phone for All.
And with all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast, we go to the mainframe and we will talk to A-Frame, who will tell us everything you need to know about this wonderful show. Take it away, A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Because that's good for America.